Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today we're going to go ahead and cover this video about maintenance. I thought this would be interesting to react to as a compulsive rambler sent it to me, which I appreciate very much. And I think it's interesting to hear people talk about maintenance. I feel like it's not talked about that much. I will just say, as a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not sure if I'm still in maintenance or not. My body weight is all over the place. I'm bloated as hell. I'm a bloater. No, I'm not actually a bloater, but I am confused about where I'm at, and I probably will be until the end of this month, and I usually always am. So it's very typical for me this time of year. But I want to go ahead and respond to the idea of maintenance in general. I know I certainly was in maintenance for at least a month. I think if I'm not, it's barely a deficit at this point, and I'm certainly eating more. So let's just let that be clear, okay? So I have maintained my higher caloric levels. So yeah, let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about maintenance. The thing is, people know that losing weight is hard and just assume that's the hardest part, but no one really talks about maintenance actually being harder than losing weight. No one really warns you about what happens when the scale stops moving. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, and also let me know in the comments down below where you are in your journey right now. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you maintaining? Are you building muscle?
I'm kind of doing it all. So basically, I'm just trying to focus more so on not upsizing. So that's my big thing. I've been very strict with that. So even if I'm a little bit overcorrecting, which again, I'm not sure because I am bloated and everything, then that's fine. So if I'm in a very slight deficit, that's okay. But I am doing quite a bit of training. I've changed my routine. I go to the gym 4 days a week now, and I used to go 2. And the workouts are tough and all that stuff. It's tough. I've been a bit salty. I've been salty. So that's what I'm doing. So I would consider it more so recomp, as I'm not doing an intentional deficit, although I will need to do that. Well, not need, it's all vanity anyways, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to probably do 2 8-week stretches of 1 pound per week during the course of the year, something like that. But it'll be pretty glacial outside of those 2 8-week cycles throughout the rest of the year. So it'll be like a tiny deficit or barely anything. I want it to be almost unnoticeable for most of the year. It's not going to be like other years where it was a dedicated 2 pound per week every week for the whole year for 2 years, pretty much. I took 1 month off in 2024, and then I would take, whenever I went on a trip or something, I would take that time off. But the rest of it was all there and tracked. And in 2025 in particular, it was hella strict, with the exception of my 2 trips in the spring and then my trip in the summer around my birthday. That was it. So that was basically 3 weeks out of the year that I wasn't, and every other week 2 pounds per week, until I started transitioning to maintenance at late October. October 23rd is when I started a reverse dieting process. And then I made it to maintenance by December 18th. Okay? So that's extremely detailed. I don't know if anybody cares that much, but that's what I've been doing.
let me know, just so I get a rough idea. I remember when I first started losing weight, and I'm sure it's the same for so many other people, you more think about weight loss and like how that's hard, because it is hard, isn't it? Because you're changing like your habits, changing
It
so
is.
much, like the foods you eat, you're exercising, and it can seem like it's hard, and you just can't wait until you hit maintenance. Like, I can't wait until this is over and I get like to be at the size I need to be. I can eat more food and I don't have to worry about losing weight. And like, you just assume it's going to be easier, and because we don't really talk about maintenance being that hard, or even as hard, like harder, if that makes sense, is because we don't talk about that.
So I don't agree with that. I think everybody talks about how hard maintenance is all the time. Even I'm going to be talking about it, but it's not actually harder. So there's a lot to say. There's a lot to say. But it doesn't, I think what people want to hear is that it's completely easy and takes zero effort. And that's not the reality. So people get to maintenance and then they realize it's not zero effort and they feel like they were sold a lie, basically. And I think it's actually a lot more emotional. So I think maintenance is a more emotional experience than downsizing. Because in my experience, at least, and I think in a lot of people's experience, downsizing has a little bit of a numbing effect, especially if you're a particularly emotional person. And I think that's why, like, when somebody is in the mids or in that mid-sized princess crisis, which not everybody has that, but in those that do, I think that they're trying to create drama and they're trying to find problems because they're starting to become numb too. Because that's when I started to become numb. I started to become more emotionally numb in the bra era, if you guys are familiar with my channel, which was kind of like class 1 obesity. That's when I started to become a little bit emotionally numb, but it wasn't enough for me to notice until the mid-sized era. And then I was like, oh, I'm a little bit numb. This is kind of weird. And then, yeah, so people kind of try to stir up drama, or they'll do a lot of like, I can't stand myself and things like that. They'll try to like really focus on the mirror, do a lot of stuff, try to like create a sense of urgency, in part because you don't have those health issues that you have at bigger sizes, where you can't, like, when you're tortured, morbidly obese, you know, that level or higher, or SMO, super morbidly obese, it's like you feel your health every second. So you have something that's kind of like on your ass about downsizing. You don't have that in a mid era, really. And some people will say, well, I kind of do. I don't feel that great. I get that. But that's not anywhere near the level that a lot of people are used to. It's basically on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 2. And that's just to say that when you are bigger, it really is that much worse. So the point is, all that numbing goes away in maintenance, or even in a very, very slight deficit. So you have to deal with your emotions all the time. And that's what I'm dealing with. And that is annoying. That is difficult. And yeah. But this is who I was before I started downsizing. So it's like, oh, hey, I remember you, you know. I remember those emotions that drove me nuts. Oh, yeah, there you are, right? So I think that that's what people feel a lot of times when they complain about maintenance. I think a very logical person doesn't really complain about maintenance, but they also probably wouldn't complain in a vanity era either. I'm emotional. I complain in a vanity era. I complain in maintenance. You know, it's a little tricky.
That enough. I feel like so many people are so shocked when they start maintenance, realize how hard it is, and then quietly and slowly regain their weight back. And that's why I want to make today's video, because I want to inform you guys. Education is key. I just think, like, if I inform you guys, talk about what my maintenance was like, especially in the beginning, and what it's like even now, then hopefully you'll be prepared when maintenance hits and you can like be equipped to go through that. Or if you are currently maintaining and you're in a rough spot of maintaining, you're finding it really difficult, you know that you're not alone and it's not you and you're not failing, and hopefully you'll be able to get some kind of information on how to push through it and move forward. With weight loss, that you don't get with maintenance is there's clear rules, if that makes sense. Like, you need to eat in a deficit, you need to do like a certain amount of steps every day or a certain amount of walking, have certain targets to hit. So say for example, like how many times a week you're going to exercise, how many steps a day you get, and then you also like have like goals. So like you want to be like, you weigh yourself every week, for example, and you'll see like, okay, I want to lose a pound, 2 pounds each week. Every month I want to kind of like lose a certain amount of weight, and then like you're hitting them. Yeah, so you've got something that you're constantly working towards and like something that you're constantly aiming for. With maintenance, you don't get the dopamine hits of like every week because your weight is staying the same. So like you're not weighing yourself and then seeing like any differences. And if you're not careful when you hit maintenance, then you might not even still have certain goals that you set for yourself, like step goals or training goals. Do you know what I mean? Or even calorie goals. With weight loss, you'll know that you've got to eat in a deficit.
Okay, so I don't necessarily believe that dopamine is always going to happen with the scale. So I think that is, you know, I'm not saying it's TR for everybody, but I would be very careful if you have had issues in the past with the toxic ritualistic, which is a coded term for E followed by the letter D. I would do everything in your power to make the scale not give you a dopamine hit, because it's not actually a part of getting on a scale. I think when we really think about the scale objectively, it's actually kind of boring because most of the time nothing happens. There were certain phases where I would downsize and it's like, okay, we're doing it, you know? But certainly the last year, 2025, it wasn't like that. There was a lot of times where there was like a long plateau. I had a very long one. I want to say it was probably like between 6 to 8 weeks in May and June. It was a long one. Like, it was so long that I had people gaslighting me in my comments and telling me that I was lying and all this crap, telling me to cut my calories further, trying to have me go below 2 pounds per week. And I was like, fuck you. No, I'm not doing it. Like, you can fuck yourself, especially because sustaining 2 pounds per week is difficult. And it's like, I was also kind of insulted because I had done a lot of work on the channel at that point, and I felt like I deserved some kind of credibility to where I didn't understand like some of how my audience was interacting with me, and it was pissing me off very badly in the mid-era. Again, the mid-era is tough. It was tough activistically. It's tough socially. And so one of the biggest things about it is that when you become mid-size in the eyes of the public or in the eyes of other people, all of a sudden you know nothing about being fat anymore. You know nothing about weight loss. You know nothing. Even though it's like I had already downsized so significantly at that point. I had always been honest about when I had gained or when I had eaten a lot or when I hadn't. So that was really stupid and annoying to me. It was so stupid and annoying. But yeah, it's tough for sure.
It's kind of hard when you move to maintenance. It's so much more.
But what I was saying is you don't always have a dopamine hit because you have significant plateaus a lot of the time in certain phases. So if you were just depending on dopamine to continue, you would quit at those times. So I'm just saying you need to deprogram that in your brain. That's something that I would suggest. And then by the time you get to maintenance, that's not even a factor. So also in my reverse dieting experience, I didn't weigh in at all for the whole process until the end of it, December 18th. So I didn't do anything until I was going up that last 120 calories to maintenance, and I didn't weigh in at all those weeks, because I was like, I want to deprogram that from my brain, get that out of my routine, because then in maintenance, it's not something that I had to deal with. And I haven't had to deal with it. I don't really care. My weight is higher at this time. I'm probably like 10 pounds up, but as I've stated many times, I'm very swollen. I eat much more fiber. I wasn't really having very much fiber at all. I'm not trying to be super graphic, but that is my username. But been a little bit hypo, slower digestion, I'll put it to you that way. And then I've had a lot of starch, so a lot of rice, a lot of stuff like that, and then just a lot of fiber. So it's like some of it is going to be that. And then I'm also swollen in general. I'm doing hard workouts. I'm kind of hypo. It's the winter. How many more reasons do I have to tell you? You know what I'm saying? These are a lot of factors. When you loop them all in to one factor, it does explain it. But as far as my caloric counts and stuff, I've been strict the whole time. Haven't messed up at all. So, yeah. You can do it.
More like freedom and leeway there, that is so easy that at least over time to start slipping back into maybe like not tracking for a while, overeating. And especially when you do come away from tracking, that is also a challenge, because you want to be able to eat maintenance without tracking, and it's so easy to overconsume your calories.
So I don't know if you really need to do that. I think that that's a little bit of a myth. So again, just be careful with that. You don't have to stop tracking, especially when you're got this deep past of the TR and all that stuff. I think for me, I just want to stay strict. I don't care if it's like I'm a little off here or there. Like I'm not on that level. Like if I went out to eat and it was a little bit off, I wouldn't give a fuck, honestly, because it's not an emotional thing for me. It's more so like I need it to be within a certain range. I need like some kind of a estimate. But I don't necessarily suggest not tracking in maintenance. I think that that's stupid. I think that that will lead to failure for most people, because in particular, I have a video on my weight loss advice throughout the eras playlist on my channel where I talk about anhedonia and maintenance. And you have a little bit of a low dopamine moment when you go to maintenance. So you can get kind of food noisy. And when you don't keep your intake regular, it makes it last longer. And the longer you're in that anhedonia, the more likely you are to gain weight, especially if you're approaching it passively, which is also highly suggested. So if her version of maintenance is go in it totally blind with zero goals and just basically sit on your ass and like rot in your anhedonia and then hope and pray that you don't eat too much while you're experiencing a lot of food noise and boredom, then yeah, that would be harder than downsizing. But if you don't give up on everything and just let it all go, and you actually prepare, do a reverse dieting process, continue to work out, do all these types of things, maybe even take on a more rigorous training regimen like I did, you're not going to have a problem. So I think that there is this idea that maintenance is giving up or maintenance is effortless. It's not. But at the end of the day, compared to a deep deficit in a vanity weight era, it's nothing. On a physical level, maintenance is, or even like close to maintenance, it's nothing compared to how hard it was in October. It's nothing compared to how hard it was in September. It's just nothing for me. I mean, it is such a lie. And I remember when I was in that phase, I was so pissed when people in maintenance would say that. It's not true at all. At all. So that is a lie. But again, if you go into it with zero strategy, totally blind, you try to live schmidt it, and feel the vibes of the food and stuff, you're going to probably have a problem. And then you're going to have to downsize again, which, no, I'm not taking a step back. It's not happening. So that's me, though. I have a stubbornness, and I have just like I'm not doing that shit again. Period. That's how I feel. I have a pride in the work I did, and I have a stubbornness where it's like, fuck no. That's how I feel about it.
Calories, and it's hard to trust your body to know whether you're eating enough calories or eating too much calories. Do you know what I mean? So like it makes that all of that factors into making maintenance so hard. You also, when you hit maintenance, you also feel like a loss of control, because with losing weight, especially when you're in the thing of it and like you're consistently losing weight and you're hitting your goals, you get so much like control there, because you're controlling how much food you're eating and you're...
Okay, that sounds a little TR, I'm gonna be honest. So definitely if you're struggling with the TR, you're going to have a lot of issues with having these like self-loathing episodes. You're going to want to sabotage it because you don't want to get out of the problem. You have to understand, if you have E four letter D, it's not the food that you're quote unquote addicted to. It's, if there is any aspect of addiction within the TR, it is the drama, and it is the process, and it is the like the storytelling aspect. I know that sounds weird to people. They're not going to understand it, but if you've been in it, it's like this story in your mind. It's like a commentary. And when that becomes silent because nothing's happening, then it's like, oh my God, that's really hard. And that can be especially hard in an average era. So when your body is totally average, which is what I'm struggling with a little bit, where it's like, gosh, this is a lot of effort. And I don't see any change at all. I don't see any results at all for the work I'm doing in the gym. I don't know why I'm doing this. That's difficult. That part is hard. Because I'm like, I don't feel like it's worth it. And you combine that with being more emotional, then it's like, I don't feel like this is worth it. And then you have to like think about it enough, because you can't suppress it. I can't suppress that feeling, because that can cause a TR or drive. So in order to protect from that, you don't suppress it, but you just tell yourself feelings are not reality. I may not feel like going to the gym tonight. I may not feel like doing this, but I'm just going to do it because I'm not going to let my emotions determine my routine. Just like I wouldn't not brush my teeth because I don't feel like it. So again, it is a mindset. Our emotions, the idea that our emotions determine our behaviors around consumption and exertion, is a toxic ritualistic idea. It's not real. I can feel however I want. When I went to the gym last night, it was literally every single workout I didn't want to do it. Every single one. I had to sit, feel the feeling, process it, and then just push through. Is that fun? No, it wasn't. It was pretty miserable. I'm not going to lie. It was awful. Especially being in this slight deficit. Things hit different. It sucks ass. It really sucks. And I'm just not numb anymore. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm so aware of how fucking annoying this is, you know? But I just did it, and I don't know. It's like you just do things even if you don't feel like it, you know? I don't know. I feel like we've lost the art of that in some ways. I don't get it.
You're seeing the results, which is weight loss. Whereas with maintenance, like you're eating more food and you don't really have that control because you're staying the same, and like because you're not getting the dopamine like hits from like actually losing weight, you can feel lost. So like when I first started maintaining, I felt like it took a long time for me to actually genuinely maintain, because I hit maintenance and I was still like so strict, if that makes sense, with like being in a deficit. I slowly increased my calories, so I was still losing weight. and then I still didn't want the scale to stay the same all the time. So if I felt like even if it went up like a couple of pounds, I'd reduce my calories again and lose weight for a bit. So like it took a while for me to actually reach true maintenance. And
Okay, well, you have to not like that's why I really suggested and why I didn't weigh myself in the reverse dieting process, because it's like I didn't weigh myself for 2 months. So that sense of habit, it's broken. So it wasn't a big deal. It's not a big deal to me to not weigh myself. I think I weighed myself maybe like 2 or 3 times since the year started, maybe. Maybe. I think like two of them, it was like within the same, like one day to the next, because I just wanted to see if it was different. And then that's it. Like, I just don't weigh myself that often at this point.
and then when I did, I just remember when the scale would stay the same, it's really hard. Like you feel like you're not working towards anything anymore. It's that weird feeling that I've noticed this with every goal I've hit. That afterwards I almost have like a like you get the sense of accomplishment, but it's very short lived, because once you hit your goal, it's like, okay, now what? Like you get addicted to feeling like you're constantly working towards something, and that's what makes it hard, I genuinely believe. So obviously setting like little goals here and there, especially during maintenance, has massively helped me. So like with maintaining, changing my mindset from, okay, I want to see progress on the scales, I decided to start seeing progress in the gym with like how much I'm lifting and stuff, and that massively helped me stay on track. I then viewed food as like fuel for like my training and lifting better and like how my body felt. So like I was still making healthy, mindful choices, but I also was able to like feed myself a bit more to fuel
Yeah,
myself
so I would agree with that aspect.
properly for training to get stronger. That massively helped. Another thing is you don't get the praise during maintenance that you do during losing weight. Like if you've lost weight, like even when you see people.
Okay, so I don't know. I think the praise of downsizing is extremely overrated and not that often. Like it does happen online occasionally. Like if I'll do a post sometimes and then people will be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing," which is it's great. Loves it. But in general, people forget that you were that big. Like, a lot of people, they don't remember. Even people who watch the channel, like you guys watched it back in 2023, you don't remember. People don't remember because time passes. So it's like, again, I don't think that that's that. Like, it's not that it doesn't happen. I was just told in person today that I look like I lost weight. Like I went to the grocery store and one of the workers brought it up and was like, "Oh, were you trying to?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Thank you," that kind of thing. So it still does happen, even in maintenance or semi-maintenance or whatever. I don't know what the hell's going on at the time. I'm not trying to downsize at this point. I'll put it to you that way. I'm just like, over my dead body, am I going to upsize? That's basically my attitude at this time. But I'm not having a super conservative amount of calories. I'll put it to you that way. Like I'm very much taking in more, I'll put it to you that way. So you can still get the praise sometimes, but it's also like, I think it's overrated. And again, when you have like that mid-size phase or whatever, people get weird. So I don't know about that. I just don't. I think it's just overblown.
In your family, especially if you haven't seen them in like a good few weeks and you've lost weight, you get them saying, "Oh my god, you've lost weight, you look amazing, you're doing so well." So you get that praise, whereas in maintenance you don't get that as well, which makes it hard.
Which I think that's harder for people who have probably, I don't know how big she used to be, but if you were at like a mid-range to lower than that when you started, it's harder. But when you're very, very big, you go through a long time where nothing feels any different. Or you can lose like 30 pounds and it look like you lost 3. I know that sounds weird. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, But there is a certain stretch in America. It has to do with like between being a 3X and a 2X. That phase is like almost 100 pounds, which people are like, whoa. But that's how drastic the size difference is. It's a lot. And so that really just took away like that mid-fat zone, that the Duff era. It took away all need for praise constantly on a downsizing journey. So I can't relate to that aspect either, because that lasted a year. Like for my Swifties, I felt like Taylor when she was like, nobody physically saw me for a year. That's how I felt. Like it was from late 2023 till the Tortured era on the channel. And even then, the Tortured, like even a lot of the Tortured era was still there. It was really until about August of 2024 when I would say I had my first glow up on the channel. And then there was some hate and soft cancellation. And then now in December, I've had glow up 2.0. And then there's hate, soft cancellation again. So people are salty a lot of the time. Very salty. So I'm like, where's the praise? I don't see it. You know, I mean, you see it sometimes, but I'm like, no, like, give some praise, y'all, you know, especially if you know somebody's doing it, because odds are they're probably getting a lot less praise than you would think. And some encouragement is helpful for sure. Anyways, that's just like me getting on my soapbox.
Harder to actually stick to, because when you're hearing the praise and that, you're like, oh, I'm doing a good job, like I want to carry on. Maintenance, you don't get that. Like there's literally no applause for staying the same, whereas like you get applauded and congratulated for losing the weight. Another reason why maintaining is a lot harder than losing weight is that you go from being someone who's losing weight, like you have that identity shift. Like me, when I was losing weight, I was the person that was losing weight. Or even like after I lost weight, like straight away, I was the person that lost this massive amount of weight. Whereas like you're not that person forever. Once you like have lost the weight, you've lost the weight.
If she's lost massive, I'm sniffing out some TR. I need to know how much she lost. 1 second. Okay, yeah, I just saw it's about 120 pounds. Yeah, I'm sensing some of the TR going on. I could feel it. I was like, okay. So yeah, there's probably something there.
You want to continue on, like maintain it, keep it off, but you don't want to have to be in a constant cycle of dieting.
Yeah, you really need to make sure that you're not identifying with being fat or identifying with losing weight. I can see where she went there within a TR perspective, but it's not positive to do that. So I did it using eras and stuff, which I think helped, because as you shift, it's easier for you. You start to get more, like, especially starting from a very big size. It's like I'm super morbidly obese, and I'm tortured. I'm in my tortured era, right? Then I was brat. I'm in my small fat era. Then I'm mid-sized princess, because I had a horrific mid-sized princess crisis, which was crazy. And then I'm average, right? Or thin. Then I entered thin towards July, and then just being average, basically. It's like, okay, but see how I've shifted? So it's like when you're in the TR, those shifts are difficult for you. But if you allow yourself to shift each step, then each shift is easier than the one before, because you're not as attached. So it's helpful to, so I never was like, I'm a person that's losing weight. It was, I'm at this phase. So as far as like the actual process, the anhedonia aspect, which she might have had, it does sound like she had a bit of that going on. As far as that whole aspect, that's not an identity crisis. That's like a process crisis, or like a I don't know what to do next type of vibe, which I have dealt with a lot. But again, I prepared for it starting in July. And I even did very, very little tiny adjustments and preparations towards April and May of 2025, especially May, where I started to sit with stillness and peace. And I would force myself to just be bored and just sit and be still and embrace and start to see boredom as peaceful. It was really hard, but it was those building blocks that led to just a straight up success, basically, right out the gate. So I could see as she flopped a few times beforehand.
Like, you don't really want that to be successful. You want to actually like get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm done losing weight now. But that is an identity shift. And then you also have like the fear of like, what if I like lose discipline, or what if I gain my weight back? Like,
so that kind of stuff, that's all TR hogwash. And yes, I'm saying hogwash because she's Britishy, but it's TR. So I don't ever feel that way because it's like I know exactly how it would happen. I think for me, it's like I have been very food noisy in February and towards the end of January. I have been where I'm like, ugh, like I feel it right now. So like right now I'm like, I don't care. I just want to eat more. That's how I feel. I don't like this limit. I don't like this limit. But am I going to do anything? No. You see? But I don't suppress it. So I think if you're like, I can't think those thoughts. Oh my God. Like if you have like this like that type of feeling over it, it gives it too much power because it's not powerful. It's more just like a no. But that's how you deal with food noise. You just shut it down, basically. It's like a, yeah, well, oh well. Oh well. You know? And then it's still not as hard as actively downsizing. It's not. But I think a lot of people have amnesia and stuff too. Like you kind of forget what it's like. Because even me just slipping into the slight one that I'm probably in, that I don't even know for sure, it's so minuscule. Or like, it's so, I don't know what I was trying to say, but it's just kind of annoying, I guess. It's an annoying feeling. But you can feel the difference. It's like the workouts are more difficult. The mood is more sour. The food noise is a little louder. I've even had some nights where I was a little peckish. And I was like, what the fuck? I was pissed, you know? But I do think that even doing it shallowly is also a skill, which I need to experience, which is why I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, so I'm just saying, as far as like the maintenance, the complete maintenance, where I kept my workouts the same and everything, I wasn't hungry at all. And so it was like, no, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to eat anymore. But yeah, it's just my feelings are strong. So it's like, I'm annoyed at this limit. That's how I feel. I don't like having this limit. That's the emotion that I have. And it's like I'm not used to dealing with that level of emotion. So I have to adjust. So again, that's not going to apply to every person. Although a lot of people in the TR, they are very emotional. So it might apply to you if you are very emotional.
Have that always in the back of your head. Like even now, like I know I'll never get to the size that I was when I started, like 269 pound morbidly obese. Although there is periods in my maintenance where like I am not as disciplined. I don't feel like it as much. And because it's like so much harder to stay focused because of all of the factors that I mentioned, it's so much easier to gain a few pounds here and there and then have to like kind of reel it back in and lose that weight back again. You do have that fear of like, especially when I first hit maintenance of gaining my weight back, I was so scared to increase my calories because I thought like if I increase my calories I'm going to gain all my weight back and stuff. So that is always there as well. And like during maintenance you realise that fitness is like one part of your life and not your whole life. Whereas when you're losing weight, I think to be really successful at losing weight, you almost have to become almost obsessed with it, like losing weight, like putting it as like your main priority.
I think you do from a super morbidly obese perspective, for sure. That's true, and it can be hard to shift. But I started to shift that around the Tortured Mo era, where I was like, okay, it's not just downsizing. Now it's downsizing plus everything else, which was part of the tortured experience, and it was really difficult. And then from the mid era on, it was like, it's downsizing, but it's more difficult from like a process perspective, where it's like I have to go to the gym and I have to like really be focused and disciplined. But other than that, it wasn't like, I was mostly focused on other goals, basically, when I was mid. It was more like I'm focused on YouTube. It's why my YouTube did pretty well at that time too. I'm focused on these trips that I'm going on, these adventures that I'm doing. I'm trying to go out and do things. You know, I was focused on a lot of other stuff. I wasn't as focused on just downsizing because I was healthier. So I think that it's important to try to do that. And then I was trying to not see myself as fat anymore. So I had to get out and do stuff. It's like I have to go visit Eric in LA, my friend Eric in LA, and walk through the fence, you know, and I'm like, I can't fit through that fence. And he's like, yes, you can. Just go through, you know, or I have to be like, I forgot a sweater, da da da. He's like, just borrow my 1X one. I'm like, I can't fit in a 1X. He's like, yes, you can. Shut up. You know, I have to deal with that kind of stuff. Or like when I went swimming in Austin with Lisa and Eric, it was kind of like, I haven't been in a pool since I downsized, and whoa, this is actually a totally different experience. Like I'm starting to sink and things like that. It's like you have to kind of see those things by living. And it did help. You know, I was able to get over it. So I think a lot of times people just, they only focus on the downsizing process. But from a toxic ritualistic perspective and from a recovery perspective, recovery is very active. It's not just about your weight. It's about a holistic picture. And it's about getting out and seeing things and doing things. And that also helps you to appreciate the progress you made, because it's like, oh, I remember when I got on a plane this year versus that year. It's so different now. Wow. You know? So I was blessed to be able to do that stuff in the mid phase. Now, when I went back to vanity, that I had to completely focus on the process again. So that was hard. But it was just very, very physically difficult. So it's like, it's so much harder than maintenance. I don't care what she's saying. It was so much harder.
In life over everything, especially when you've got like a big amount of weight to lose. It kind of has to be like your main priority, and it becomes a big part of your life. Whereas since I've started maintaining, it's now gone from a massive like main part of my life to just one part of my life, and like what I like to do and who I am, if that makes sense. But like, it's not my whole life. Do you know?
You can phase into that though, and I would suggest it, because that's too drastic.
I mean, during maintenance, you also like experience your body changing. So like, I could be in maintenance, yeah. Some days, like, I can feel really good about myself. Oh my god, I feel quite lean. I feel strong, or do you know what I mean? Like, I feel good and have a good body image day. Other days, I can have a bad body image day, and like I'm weighing the same, but like I could be more bloated.
Yeah,
I could be more watery. I could feel weak in the gym.
I've had that. I don't think about it all that much, to be honest. I think it was just like last night where I'm like, I'm doing so much work and I feel like nothing's changing. And why am I doing this? You know? But again, I just have these very strong emotions, and I can recognize it for what it is. It's strong emotion. So it's that anhedonia going away, and now I have all these strong feelings about every aspect of my life. It isn't just about downsizing or maintenance or anything. It's about everything. That's difficult. So waking up to the emotional reality of my life, it's difficult. It's not just that I don't want to go to the gym. It's that I don't want to work. I don't want to pay rent. I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to do anything, you know? So it's like, well, am I just going to let everything go? I don't want to deal with the soft cancellation on my channel. I don't want to deal with it. I don't. You know, I don't want to deal with the salty audience members and how bitchy they are and how pissed it makes me. I don't want to deal with rough patches of activism. Who wants to do that? It was easier for me when I was numb. It was. You know? So it's like, okay, well, that's really negative. Oh my God, you know, but it's like, it is how I feel. But does that mean that feelings are reality? No. Did I pay my rent? Yes. Did I work? Yeah. Am I on YouTube? Yes. Did I go to the gym? Yes. I did it all. Am I staying within my reasonable limit of maintenance calorically? Yes. So I think there is a difference between being a toddler and an adult. You know, which I'm not saying that she is a toddler. I'm just saying, like, people act like because I feel this way, that means my actions are immediately going to change. No. I'm not a toddler. But I don't have to suppress either. I don't. And if I'm having a moment where I feel like my effort is not getting payout, that doesn't mean that it's not. It means that it's a feeling. And remember, feelings are not reality. So I can feel that way, but it's not true. I know objectively in my mind, I know that my activism is deeply appreciated. I know it is by a lot of people. I know that progress is being made in the gym on an objective level. I know that I'm getting stronger. I know that all this stuff. I know that, you know what I mean? I know that in reality, I am appreciated, or people do see the work that I do in general, not just online, but just in general in my life. And people are in large part happy for me in these kind of things, or at least, you know, a sizable portion of my audience is very, very happy and thrilled for me and supportive. I know that too. But do we always feel it? No, we don't. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's not any, you know, more or less real. It's not a reality. It's like, it's just how you view it. And I think that that's the whole thing with maintenance. It's like, maintenance is harder. That's not reality. You're clouding it with your emotion. It's a way of clouding reality with emotion, which is fine. It's okay to be emotional, but we can't lose the objective truth of the situation. Maintenance is easier. It is, even if it doesn't feel easier. Although I would argue it is easier regardless. Even like, I remember how it felt in September and October. I was so hating it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awful. But it really was that awful. It was awful. It really was. Maintenance isn't that awful. It's just like, I'm sore and I'm tired and I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. But like I said, I don't feel like it. Does that mean I'm not? No, it doesn't. I'm getting a lot out of it. So stay objective. That's how you stay successful. So again, these feelings, I can vent, I can bitch, I can complain, I can do the whole shebang if I want to, but it doesn't change a damn thing about what I get up and do every single day. It doesn't change a damn thing. That's how you get it done.
And I feel not great about myself, but maintaining when you're actually trying to just stay the same, when you're having those bad body image days, it's hard to kind of be like, okay, well, it's just a day and I've got to move through it. Like, it's easy to, if you have like a few days of maybe feeling extra bloated and that, it's very easy to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back into a calorie deficit and lose weight. But like, you don't really need to do that during maintenance. So yeah, obviously with maintaining, like, if you think of like the whole year, you've got like holidays, different emotions I'll be going through, different hormones, for example, you might have, and like say there's certain stresses in life, say certain relationships, like getting in a relationship, you gain weight. Like, I feel like this is so common, but like, it's happened with me with my relationship. Like, you get into a relationship, obviously not at first, but like once you get comfortable with each other, I feel like it's quite hard not to.
That might be true. I'll cross that bridge. Hopefully soon. If you're watching, hopefully soon. Please soon. But anyways, we'll see. We'll see. Challenge accepted. But I'm not going to talk on something that I haven't done. All I can say is upsizing over my dead body. That's basically my sentiment. So yeah,
put on a little bit of weight, and I've had so many people like come to me and talk about that as well, and like, how do you avoid gaining weight in our relationship, because we're always going out to eat, or he always like eats so much and like gets me food, maybe like, for example, like my boyfriend gets me flowers and like chocolates and stuff and ice cream.
All I can say is Mr. Jordy, gosh, I can't even talk, is very supportive of health and fitness, and I would highly suggest that you choose somebody who is super, super supportive, because you do not want to enter into a relationship with somebody who is going to sabotage you. Okay?
So I remember I had to tell him, I was like, listen, I love the flowers, I even like the chocolate, yeah, because I don't mind like a box of chocolates, I can have one or two here and there, but like sometimes you give me like a massive tub of ice cream and I don't even eat ice cream like that, yeah, so I'm like, I don't really eat ice cream. If you get me ice cream, get me Halo Top. So like, he's now would just get me like a Halo Top ice cream, which is like only like 350 calories, for example, for the tub. So like, I just ask for that, if that makes sense. Try to make healthier choices when I'm out. But these are all different things that like are challenges during maintenance that you end up hitting, and then you have to kind of go through it. And it just makes maintaining quite hard. Obviously, this can happen during weight loss as well. But when you're losing weight, you've got the dopamine hits, and it just makes it easier to kind of get through that. When you're maintaining and you're not getting that, and you kind of, it's so much easier to kind of like lose that motivation and lose that discipline, and kind of feel like you've not really got a reason why you should not.
I think you need to be active. You need to be proactive still. So if I understand what she's saying, if you're just completely in autopilot, yeah, at least for a while. I don't think you'd go all the way back up. But certainly if you're just entering maintenance, honey, you need to be strategic. This is not something that you just cutely do. You know, this is something that you make a plan and you get ready. And I'm telling you, if you're an emotional person, your emotions will come back very loud. So be prepared for it. And yes, you have to be like, no, 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 no. You're going to have to deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. It's called discipline. It's called being an adult. It's called growing the fuck up. So you don't have to feel good about it. You don't have to be happy about it. I don't give a fuck if you're happy. I don't care. But you're going to do what you got to do, just like you get up and you go and you pay your rent. Just like you get up and you go to your job. Go to job. Just like you get up and you take out the trash if you don't want to. Because it's fucking disgusting to leave the trash in the house. Not me looking. I was like, is that trash taken out? It is. Do we always feel good about these tasks? No, we don't. It's the same thing in maintenance. Same thing.
Eat more that day. Do you know what I mean? It's so much easier to kind of give in, which obviously over time the weight will creep back up and you gain the weight back, and that happens to so many people. But I think it's good to reframe your way of thinking, especially when you hit maintenance, and think of success as like a range, and think of success as like a range rather than like a specific weight, for example. So like, for example, like your weight being in within a certain range, so for like 5 to 10 pound range, be like, okay, well, that's what maintenance looks like for me. So you're accounting
That's
for the
fair.
times where you might be a little bit heavier due to like a holiday, for example. Do you know what I mean? Or like being bloated, hormonal stress. So like
I
that
agree.
is the range of weight that you stay in. That is more realistic for maintenance, and that's kind of something that I do as well. And also, like, being consistent doesn't mean that you're perfect and you even hit every single goal that you have every single day, but it's just about like when you do kind of fall back a little bit, you pick yourself back up and you get back to it and you always return to it. That is what makes you more consistent. So for me, I've not
I
been
agree.
perfect every single day, especially during maintenance, but I do pick myself up, I recognize it, pick myself back up and get back into it. So, and then also just realizing and remembering and reminding yourself that fitness isn't a punishment, and
Yeah.
it's more of like a support system for your actual lifestyle. So for me, I feel like my mental health is so much better when I go to the gym and I eat better, and when I'm getting my steps and I'm smashing it, I feel like I just am so much better in myself.
I see it more like a chore, and I see it as a part of my activism. So and I still see it as a vanity pursuit, which it's it's something I'm choosing to do, even if I hate it sometimes. Yes, it's kind of like bonus or extra credit or something. Like in that sense, vanity is kind of that way. But again, I'm an activist. It's a part of the job. Just like people being salty and gross, just like people being dumb. It's a part of being an activist. It's not always fun. You're not always loved all the time by everybody as an activist. So it's like I'm not delusional about the job. I get it. It's a part of it, you know? And that's a part of it too, is I do have to do better than the average person. So I need to be better than average, period. And again, I'm not going to sit here and like act like that isn't the case. I'm just not.
So like that's why I want to continue doing it. It's more just for me, for longevity, for my health. Yes, to maintain my weight loss. Like I know that, and I think maintenance is hard, but like you just got to keep reminding yourself of why you even started in the first place, and like keep going and just like don't. I never ever want to let.
Remind yourself of the effort you put in and value it and have a sense of self esteem for the love of God. Like, have some kind of self esteem and value the effort you put in. Please. Please.
The person down, which is my old self, like when I was bigger, who did all of that hard work to lose weight. Like I don't ever want to give up and then let myself get back to that, like, because I would have done all that work for nothing.
Right.
So I remind myself of that, and like, yes, I'm not going to be perfect 24/7, but I'm just going to stay consistent, which is consistently picking myself back up each
Self
time.
esteem.
And you kind of learn like from every single like hurdle that you get through in maintenance, like you learn something from it, and it gets you kind of stronger. It always makes it easier the next time you go through the same thing, and you can be a little bit more easier on yourself as well, and like not beat yourself up about it. But I really wanted to make today's
I
video
appreciate
because I've
that.
had a couple of clients, but one client in particular that has just decided to start maintaining after her weight loss, and she has overcome this now actually, but she was going through a period where she was struggling with her motivation and
It's
like
hard.
knowing what to do and kind of like being able to push herself to do certain things like going to the gym and training and even eating healthier and tracking when she knows that she's just maintaining. It's because like you've hit that hard part. Maintenance is the hard part.
No, it's the anhedonia. It's the low dough feelings, which make it hard. So just go to the gym. That's also why I have to continue to go. It helps with those aspects. And it gives me something to complain about, which I told you guys. And anhedonia, that is huge. If you got something to complain about, baby, milk it. Because that's something, you feel something. You feel sore, you feel something. So go feel sore and then bitch about it. I know it sounds stupid to a lot of people, but it works. You're going to stay in maintenance. Because sometimes it's like if you just feel nothing, it's like, oh my God, what the fuck, you know? But then be prepared when the emotions come back. That's what I'm dealing with. It's like, ooh, good Lord. Oh my gosh, I'm so emotional. Holy fuck. That's how I feel every day. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so emotional. Holy shit. I forgot this. because I think in some ways downsizing, it's a bit numbing. Even from the beginning, it was kind of numbing. And it was kind of like, it's when I was in my bigger phases, it was physically distracting. So I wouldn't think as much about my feelings. Like I still would all the time, but you have to understand the 80% emotional focus is different than what's becoming the 100% today at maintenance, or this tiny, tiny slight deficit. So it's like, holy shit, I'm firing back on all cylinders, and damn, I'm fucking emotional as shit. So that's what I'm dealing with. That's not going to be everybody.
So if you are feeling like this, I don't want you to feel like, you're on your own or you're failing. You've literally hit the hardest part of your journey. So just keep going. You're going to smash it. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video and talk about this. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and found it helpful.
That's not helpful. Don't tell people it's the hardest. It's not. But it isn't necessarily easy, or it's not no effort. So that's where I will agree. And then I do agree with some of what she said. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much. I told you on some Tuesdays, it's a little tricky for me to film because I have very packed Tuesdays and I had to work a lot. And then the gym. I went to the gym at midnight. It was awful after working all day. It was just horrible. But that's why I was like, I'm not going to like try to force a video today. You know what I mean? Like, so I just didn't. So it had to do with that. It was just too much, and it has to do with going to the gym 4 days a week. So if I don't post, it's more so because of that. It's not because the haters are getting to me. It's not. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. I'll see members tomorrow. Bye.